Heyo everyone, welcome to IDB. Andrew here as usual, and we have our first impressions, and the unboxing and setup of Apple's new HomePod. It comes in two different colors, the white version as well as this space gray version. Packaging is pretty much straight up simple. You got pictures of the HomePod on the front and the back, dual Apple logos on the sides, and the top of the HomePod right along the top. The first thing that I noticed was not necessarily the size, but the weight and the heft to this box. It is actually surprisingly heavy and was a little bit clumsy to carry out in one hand this morning while I was picking it up. Right when the top comes off, you are greeted by the HomePod, which pretty much looks like everything that you've seen so far of the HomePod. It's a little bit difficult to remove nice, cleanly, and smoothly on the camera, especially because the cable is wrapped up underneath. The cable is not detachable, not replaceable, so it does make it a little bit wonky when you're pulling it out. Underneath everything, underneath the HomePod, underneath the cable, there's a few basic getting started guides, the stuff that you'd kind of expect from any Apple product anymore. Basically tells you, oh yeah, it's the HomePod, walks you through the setup process, how to pull it up on your phone, how to use it, the general idea of that. Of course, you also have some other T&C, and lastly, a round Apple sticker. Of course, gotta have that Apple sticker in that box. There are always so many nice small touches to any Apple product that would often get overlooked from other manufacturers. And I don't mean just the whole unboxing process as a whole, which is always very nice. It's very straightforward, gets you straight to the product, pretty low waste as far as the actual components stuff are concerned, and it's relatively easy to save the box. You can always box this thing up if you did go ever to sell it in the future and upgrade to like a Gen 2 model. The power cable is surprisingly nice. It is not a black, but rather a little bit lighter space gray, and it's got a really nice knit around the cord itself. So it's not just a rubbery cable like the other Apple products. It actually is a little bit nicer and has this nice wrap around the outside. Heck, not only is the cable nicely designed, but so is the underside of the HomePod, kind of that back of the cabinet philosophy that Apple has always had. Has a nice subtle Apple logo and just a nice silicone base for it to rest on. The whole thing itself, yes, is still quite hefty, but that's probably a good thing. All that technology, the base, all the different 6 tweeters going on in there, it's all really solid. Even the outside, though I did have a qualm with it. So it's nice and soft, it feels good, nice and premium, but it feels so much like almost like a scratching post for my cat. And you've seen him pop up in recent videos. I feel like I should really pick up that Apple Care because the replacement cost is really high for these things, almost the same price as a new HomePod. So I feel like, especially for that $40-50 for Apple Care, it's probably worth it in case my cat decides to use this as a scratching post. Now, there is no physical on button on the actual HomePod itself, so as soon as you plug it in, it starts and going. Once I moved my phone near it and had my phone turned on, immediately got a nice, beautiful animation of the HomePod picking up, and it walks you through the setup process, including which home. If you have multiple homes set up in here, you can choose which room. Because it is an AirPlay 2 speaker, it does have to go into a room because it does work with HomeKit. It does show up in the Home app. You can allow it to enable personal stuff as well as tie it to your Apple ID. Other than that, just takes another couple seconds and you're set up. The whole setup process is maybe less than a minute. And then it walks you through some things that you can ask it, like turning on the lights, checking the news, weather, playing music from Apple Music. And then it even has you ask her to play some music, and immediately pulling from my Apple Music queue, it pulled up some great songs that I immediately loved. When the music started playing, the animation of Siri was replaced with a minus and plus volume button. You can use those there to control volume, you can use Siri, or you can even use your phone. Like other AirPlay 2 speakers, you can play and pause content from your HomePod right within the Home app if that's something that you would prefer to do. And of course, you can get to it easily from Control Center in the AirPlay preferences. It shows up just like your other Apple TVs and other devices. As we've heard from multiple sources so far, audio quality is pretty phenomenal. I was blown away. I have so many speakers in my home, and yet this still sounded absolutely amazing, and it sounded great whether I had it in the middle of the room or against a wall. Now, we have so much more to cover when it comes to the HomePod, so make sure you stay tuned to IDB and make sure you subscribe so you can see all of our latest videos. Let us know what you think, and if you manage to pick up a HomePod down below in the comments. Till next time, this is Andrew for IDB.